Hello, and welcome to episode 8 of the Van Dyke Mortgage WMC Sports Podcast, brought to you by Durga Insurance Group. I'm Scott DeCamp, co-host of this show. I'm joined by my fellow co-host, Ken Byard. Hi, Ken.
Good morning.
And Tate Stine.
How's it going?
Good. We have a birthday boy on the set. Well, a day late, but still. You're the big 1-9 now?
Yeah, I guess so.
How did you celebrate?
Well, it was actually a pretty upsetting birthday. Had all the family over. We said we're going to go watch the Steelers game downstairs. Gets to about halftime and it's 3-31 at Buffalo Bills. So I was thinking, let's wrap up this birthday. I'm ready for 20.
Any Lions fans in your household or not?
Yeah, my mom is. Everyone on my mom's side is a Lions fan.
So yesterday was a bad day for everybody in your house.
Yeah, losing to the Patriots 29-0. I think
that was depressing.
Yeah, it was depressing. I didn't have any good football to watch besides one game was pretty close, but it wasn't anything relevant to my family. So
the Detroit Lions, I think sometime last week, tweeted out on their official Twitter account, we're the number one offense in the league or whatever, and then someone brought that tweet up again and said, that didn't age very well, did it?
Aged like milk.
Yeah.
It was such an awful game. 29-0.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Made Bailey Zappi look like Tom Brady.
Yeah, he's like a third stringer, right?
Yeah. So how was your weekend, Ken? You had
good.
A busy one, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We had homecoming, festivities Saturday, and so that was fun. And we got to watch our good friends get married Saturday night over at Bethany Church and the reception at Dockers. Shout out to Doug Clark for tearing up the dance floor. But yeah, good times were had Saturday night and bad times were had Sunday morning, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. I know where you're going with that. So that's why I brought you water today.
I appreciate that.
So my weekend was pretty relaxed. A lot of time with family and friends, which is always good. A lot of football. Watching Michigan State get drilled, which is kind of par for the course this season. So that's just it's just Groundhog Day when you're watching them this year. And theoretically they should be able to compete with Wisconsin, but I don't think many people are counting on it. That's homecoming this week.
It's bad news right there, East Lansing right now. I don't know what's going on.
It is. I mean, and your daughter's there, right?
Yeah,
I mean, does she go to the games or no?
She does. She actually came home Saturday she came home Friday for the game, went back to East Lansing on Saturday, and she's like, it's kind of a bummer, like, we only stay till halftime because we're getting our butts whooped.
Yeah. That's when you know things aren't going as well. I mean, the students don't really need much of a reason to want to bolt, but
I wouldn't think so. Apparently, there are other things to do in East Lansing.
Yeah, I can think of a few.
Shocker.
But in Michigan, on the other hand, they're playing well. Nice win. Indiana, was a little bit of a trap game for them, but they kind of got it picked up after the scary incident with Mike Hart. So
yeah, that's scary. What is there an update on him?
I haven't heard.
I heard
Have
seizure,
you?
and that was it.
Yeah, I haven't heard. No.
And they've got a huge game with Penn State at home this week. So
it's good to see Donovan Edwards back in action.
Yep.
He's always exciting.
Yep. So they got things rolling. And again, them and Ohio State look like the class of the league, and the Big Ten West is the Big Ten West. So we'll see who comes out of that side. But we have our own, obviously, topics that we specialize here, West Michigan Conference. But before we do that, of course, we have to talk about our sponsors, which without supporting this content, we can't do these fun things. So we're going to start off with Grieve Law, West Michigan Joint Divorce, Big Stone Therapies, Green Ridge Realty with Chris Dykem and Sarah Reel, North Grove Brewers, Foundation System of Michigan and John Botten, Coldwell Banker with David Dusenberry, who I must say, not the old or not the distinguished, but the jacked Dave Dusenberry. Did you see that photo of him on Facebook?
Sure. Yeah, someone's been doing some curls.
I feel bad for his shirt.
Right.
Busting out of that thing.
I'm not messing with that guy ever again. So I'll just let Tate do all the trash talk when it comes to Dave.
Trash talk.
Yeah.
Dave the Rock Dusenberry.
Jeez, he's looking jacked, but man. And then Scheid Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. And then, of course, special thank you to our sponsors, our title sponsors, Van Dyke Mortgage Lakeshore, whose commitment to finding you the right home loan is second to none. Their experienced licensed team is ready to work with you, ensuring smooth and timely loan process from application to closing. Check them out at 460 West Western Avenue in Muskegon, or give them a call at 231-332-6500. And, of course, the other title sponsor, Durga Insurance Group. which looks at success through a different set of lenses, placing the relationship with their clients first. Regardless of what stage you're at in life, they are there for you each step of the way to offer you the level of insight and care that you deserve. You can check them out at their offices at 1535 Far Road in Norton Shores, or call them Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 231-744-9106. So lots to discuss today. I think we need to start with what our game of the week was last week. Ravenna at North Muskegon. North Muskegon won that one 28-7. Kind of a few more turnovers and maybe a little sloppier in some points than I maybe anticipated, but hard-hitting game. It usually is. I thought it was a great crowd, great setting, homecoming. We got on our stream, we got some just phenomenal drone shots in front, ahead of the game, which we've been kind of doing that in the games of the week. But one thing I got to say though, my quick takeaways were, I have to give a shout out to TJ Byard, who I guess, contrary to popular belief or the belief in the Byard household, I actually do like TJ. Even though I miss his touchdown clips always, I missed another one. I missed one against Hart, his only touchdown of the game, and I missed his first touchdown. Couldn't get the camera up quick enough because I was multitasking, doing other stuff, and there he goes catching a beautiful over-the-shoulder pass right before halftime, and I'm like, oh, I got the celebration, but I didn't get the play, so I'm like, dang. Sorry, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, we had a long talk about not everyone's going to like you, and it's okay. Don't take things personally. So he's working on that, and we'll get him in some counseling sessions, and he'll press on.
I made it up to him by interviewing him after the game, but maybe that wasn't making it up to him. Maybe he's like, I don't want to talk to that guy.
He was like, who's this guy?
It's the guy that misses all of his touchdown clips. That's who that is.
I finally caught him after the game. Finally. But no, so but I have to give a shout out. I know I've mentioned this on the pod before, but I finally captured it. Careless whisper in the locker room. I don't know if you guys have seen the TikTok, but it was some classic stuff because it started as careless whisper, bunch of dudes in there, 15 to 14 to 17, 18-year-old dudes dancing and swaying the careless whisper, singing and belting it out, and then Benny Myers just sitting there at his chair in front of his locker stall like nothing else is going on. Like he's just focused on, he was, I'm here to punch in and punch out, boys. I'm not doing that stuff.
That's classic Ben Myers. I actually called him Saturday morning. I said, dude, that TikTok, it's classic him, like everyone's dancing around and having a great time. He's like, listen, I'm here to win. I'm here to leave. Okay, bye.
What do you say? I mean, what do you say about that? That behavior.
I get down with it. I'm actually an avid 70s disco guy myself. I get down with some 1970 to 80s disco. I don't know why. I think that's my mom's fault. But I get down with some Careless Whisper too. It was cool to see that.
I dig it, man. Have you ever seen it was a few years back, Josh Reddick? Is it Josh Reddick that played for the A's?
Yeah.
His walk-up song was Careless Whisper, and they did a video on it, and the best part, though, was the fans in right field swaying, and there's one guy doing hip thrusts to it. It was phenomenal. You guys got to check that out.
I do.
It's pretty awesome.
That might have been Tate if you zoom in on that video. Were you out in Los Angeles?
I might have been, now that I think about it.
I'm thinking it might have been Sam Gallo. I'm not sure.
Oh, gosh.
So, for those who haven't seen the TikTok, it went from Careless Whisper to, they cranked it up a notch to Billie Jean.
Solid choice.
Yeah.
Solid choice.
And again, though, that vintage 80s type stuff.
Yeah. It's not disco, but I get down with that too. So Michael Jackson.
Yeah. So I thought that's pretty awesome. And in all honesty, when I cover high school sports, that's the stuff I like. When I cover sports, it's maybe off center, off kilter a little bit, but I just love it. It's just those little side things, those little memories that people are making, kids are making. So.
Absolutely, and those are the things that they won't ever forget, right? They might forget the score or what this play or that play, but at the end of the day, when they're at their 30th class reunion, that's the stuff they're going to remember.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what'd you think of the game? Obviously, you didn't see that. You were calling the Montague-Fremont game. That's a nice needed win, I think, for Montague,
Yes.
20-0. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what did you think of what were your impressions of the North Muskegon Ravenna game?
Well, if you go just from the beginning of the night and the crowd that showed up, the food trucks were there. We had some local kind of smaller businesses kind of creating just a fun environment. The weather was spectacular. It might have been the most attended homecoming game that I've been associated with. But as far as the game goes, it kind of went how I thought it would go. Our hope was that we could contain Hogan, which I think we did for the most part. He's just such a dangerous player that you have to be on all the time. And as far as our defensive linebacker play, I thought we were really disciplined. I thought we were a lot more physical than they were, which is a nice change of pace for a North Muskegon team that we're able to be physical. But for the most part, things kind of landed where I thought they would land. Turnovers probably, they didn't help their cause, but you get that when you have a player like Hogan, who's dynamic, who's trying to extend plays and make things on his own. And that was a point of emphasis for us, was to continue to play, flatten out, chase, because we'll be able to create some turnovers because he wants it so bad, and kind of use that against him.
Yeah, and early on, North Muskegon coughed it up early, and Ravenna took over right around midfield, and then, then they started moving the ball a little bit, and you're thinking, they might get on the board, and who knows where things go. But then, to your point, it was like a 3rd and 10, and they were pressuring Hogan. He was out of the pocket, and I think he had the ball in one of his hands and got swatted away,
Right.
and that's when Brandon Ripsa scooped and scored about 65 yards, and I thought that was big for North Muskegon just because of overcoming that early turnover. You could have possibly been in an early hole, but instead, you guys kind of take that upper hand early.
Yeah. Well, and the emotional letdown from that injury to Denny, Denny really is the heart and soul of our team. And so we're hoping that injury's not as bad as what it looked like on Friday night. But really, the guys kind of looked around and said, okay, we're going to play for Denny now. And that's just how important he is to our program. And it was kind of a rallying cry for the rest of the night that, let's put it all on the line for 2.
I felt bad for him because he's a great kid. He works so hard, and each year he just can't catch a break. Now, from what I heard, apparently it might be just a sprain, and that he could be. Maybe there's a chance of him coming back yet this season. So
yeah, that's the hope. Yeah, that's the hope. They kind of thought sprain. Last night at film, he wasn't on crutches, so that's a good thing, I think.
Was it an ankle or a knee?
Knee.
It was a knee.
Right.
It was very early in the game. He had a great run on his first carry of the game, and then his second carry, he got kind of caught behind the line, and I don't know if he got twisted up or what happened.
Yeah, it must have got twisted. You can't see the injury on film, but put something in the huddle, probably twist somewhere. But
and I gotta shout this out too, because Michelle Belmonte, his mom, sent me a message yesterday. She goes, "Can you please relay this to Ravenna?" Number 5 for Ravenna, he's a sophomore. It's Derek Finley. He went and checked on Denny after the game because he said you could tell the kid felt bad when the play happened, but then he went back after the game and talked to Denny and said, "Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for this to happen." And so I thought that was good sportsmanship if that's the way it played out.
That's
great.
classy.
And I was impressed with Ego too after the game. The Ravenna coach, he went up to James, kind of went out of his way, went and shook his hand, just told him great game and stuff. You just love to see it because these teams have developed a good rivalry,
right?
And there's a lot on the line, but that's really where it needs to stay, though, is play hard on the field and then do it the right way, and then afterwards, give props.
Absolutely.
So, your game. So, what your takes? When I saw those stats, I was just kind of floored that Montague shut him out 20-0, but Fremont outgained him 2-something to like 130 or something like that.
Yeah, I talked to Bill O'Connell during the live stream. I kind of made a joke. I said, this is the perfect game to watch if you like 1960s football, because there was probably a total of 70, 60-some rushing attempts and probably a total of about 12 passing attempts.
Were any of them sporting the single
the single bar?
Single
bar? No, there was no single bars out there, thank goodness, but Deermeyer, I forgot his first name for Fremont. He's the lead running back.
Deerheimer, yeah.
Yeah, 38 carries.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is ridiculous. There was only one other guy that ran the ball for Fremont. He ran twice. So it was something to watch, but there was 2 or 3 turnovers in the red zone. It would have been a different game if Fremont didn't commit those turnovers, or Montague didn't force them to commit those turnovers, but a couple of errant passes, a couple forced fumbles, and if those didn't happen, probably would have been a closer game. But big win for Montague.
No, needed to win.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, this week, and we'll get to some other games too. North Muskegon, they're at Holton this week, and then they finish, I believe, at Shelby in week 9. Montague is at Manistee this week, and then they come home and face Oak Ridge next week, and what will be our game of the week for next week. So, another game I want to just touch on, a couple others. Whitehall beat Ludington 56-6 in the homecoming game. It was 56-0 at the half. Cal Stratton ran for 3 touchdowns and passed for 3 more, so he continues his great season. And, so they're just kind of chugging along right now. So they've got this week at Fremont and then at OV in week 9, which leads me into the next point with OV canceling the game against Oak Ridge last week because of a lack of healthy players. And I mean, when you heard that, what were your first impressions? What did you guys think?
I mean, it's just a little upsetting because, of course, you want to see everyone play, and I don't know how many guys are hurt or injured for Orchard View, but you think about it's only been, it hasn't been too long since that state championship, and it's a little upsetting to see the program go to a point where they have to forfeit a game. And I just hope everyone gets healthy soon for Orchard View and they don't drop any more games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a trend that you're seeing more and more often across the state of Michigan. And I just hope that coaches and ADs are really scrutinizing their position when prior to making that decision. Because not only, obviously health and safety is the number one concern. But if you have the numbers to be able to go out and play, I hope that they're playing because it's a lost opportunity for the other team too. Mm-hmm. And so I just hope that there are some real conversations with the administrators and coaches in place before they make a decision like that, because it impacts a lot of people and communities.
Yeah, because Oak Ridge, and it happened midweek. They announced it on a Wednesday, so it's tough timing all the way around. For someone like Oak Ridge, for them to try to find a replacement game now all of a sudden. But Leroy Hackley sent the email out Wednesday, and he said in it they're planning to be back this week. They're up at Ludington this week, and then next week they host Whitehall. So it's not going to get any easier. Both those are good teams, and especially next week with Whitehall coming in. That's a tough one. So, I don't know. We'll see where that goes. But so Oak Ridge gets a forfeit win over Orchard View. Orchard View takes a forfeit loss because if I believe the rule is still if a team cancels and then the opponent picks up another opponent, then I don't believe there's a forfeit then, because the other team could still have an outcome. I think, I don't know if I'm not describing that right, but I think that's how that works. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So, basically, and then this week, Ravenna Oak Ridge is our game of the week this week. And it's, 2 longtime rivals. Obviously, Oak Ridge has had its more than its share of success in the league and against Ravenna. But a lot of those games, they can surprise you sometimes. They've got, like last year, I don't think anyone anticipated it being much of a game, and it wasn't. It was like 36-8 at halftime. And then Ravenna reeled off like 4 straight touchdowns. Hogan had a field day in that game as like the slot back and made it a game, and Oak Ridge pulled it out at the end and got their share of the conference title. But there's been some doozies over there and some hard-hitting games, so I don't know what you guys expect to see in this one or not.
Well, if Hunter's healthy, I think anything's a possibility. He's just that dynamic of a player. He can change the whole complexion of the game. So if he's healthy, you can't rule him out. It'll be an uphill battle even with him, but he's a game changer. So hopefully he's healthy.
No, yeah, and I'm gonna kind of stick to the same theme. I think it's gonna be a decently low-scoring affair, just like I predicted the North Muskegon one to be. I think it will be a close one, probably only 1 or 2 scores, like you said, because of Hogan's such a playmaker, such a difference maker, and Oak Ridge is that great defensive team that we've talked about. So I think it's going to be a close, gritty game. I
think as we go along, though, we're through week 7, and Ken commented before this that we're week 8 already, which is insane. But I think, at least for me, I've seen some clarity in terms of maybe pecking order in the league. And I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that, but obviously, to me, Whitehall is far and away the best team in the league. But who's number 2? And to me, I think it's North Muskegon, and it might. I don't want to say a really sizable, but decent margin, maybe even. I'd love to see North Muskegon Oak Ridge how that would play out. But I kind of like North Muskegon as that second team. And then maybe after that, like an Oak Ridge or somebody like that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, we thought going into this season that if we were to stay in the old conference, that we would be, obviously behind Whitehall, but we would fall in that 2-3 range. That a North Muskegon Oak Ridge matchup would be a good one. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of where we put ourselves. We knew that maybe Montague was going to be down a little bit. We knew that with Hunter Hogan there, that Ravenna's always dangerous, but we felt like we could be in that top 3 of that old league, bigger school division.
No, yeah, I expect that too coming in, because just that great. I love watching North Muskegon football games with that offense, and something that we haven't seen very often. And overall, the performances that North Muskegon has put up, I'd probably put them right above Oak Ridge for that number 2 spot, but I think it's close, and I would love to see that matchup. And probably Ravenna's just a little bit farther behind North Muskegon and Oak Ridge, just barely though.
No, and you have to see, you have to look at like the Ravennas, Ludingtons, where's Montague fit in this, that kind of thing. But I would have loved to have seen a Whitehall North Muskegon matchup, and like you said, even a North Muskegon Oak Ridge matchup this year.
Right.
But so this kind of segues into a thing I wanted to address, because we're getting closer and closer to that time, but playoff time is right around the corner. And one of the guys that I followed, and we all have probably followed for quite a while now, is a guy that goes by the moniker of Snooze to You. And he does these projections each year, each week, a mapatology, and just he's like right on the money almost every time. And so one thing I wanted to just kind of look at, and we've got some documents prepared for the guys here, but going over each division that would involve teams from the West Michigan Conference, just to see where things are at, like through week 7. So have you guys, I know you've probably followed him, Snooze to You. Had you heard of him before, or what he does?
Yeah.
And I mean, what do you guys think of the work he does?
He's scary accurate. I almost trust him more than the MHSAA.
I mean, I can see why. Like you said, he's usually right on the money.
No, he is. We'll start with Division 4. That's where Whitehall's at. And right now, at least in the region, and maybe even across the state, looks like, and it is across Division 4, they're the highest. They have the highest point totals, playoff point totals right now. Now that could change, with 2 weeks remaining because of their schedule, but because of other schedules like South Christian. I'm pretty sure. I think South Christian still has to play Forest Hills Eastern yet. So, who's according to this projection is in the same district, but in this one, right now, the way that Snooze has it is Division 4, District 1. It would be Whitehall versus Big Rapids, and then Fruitport versus Ludington. I mean, what would you guys think of that pod if that played out?
I'd love to see a Whitehall Fruitport matchup. Fruitport can score. A big win against West Catholic on Friday, kind of a statement. I think that would be a good matchup. 2 powerful offenses. I don't know if Fruitport is as inclined to stop people on defense as much as Whitehall is, but just for a draw, it'd be a great draw, for the community and those 2 communities, and being able to support those guys locally.
No, yeah, I got a couple boys on the team from Fruitport. They've been talking to me about it. They think a Fruitport-Whitehall matchup would be pretty solid, but I agree, but I just don't think Fruitport can match up with Whitehall. You talked about it. Fruitport's defense probably just not as complete as Whitehall's, because Whitehall can do it so well on both sides of the ball, but I'd still love to see that matchup in that little pod.
I do too. I've been kind of waiting for that one to potentially happen. They played a couple years ago. Fruitport came over to Whitehall, and Whitehall got them pretty good in the playoffs. But that was but they're both different teams now, I think. I think Whitehall's a lot better, and I also think Fruitport's a lot better too. So I would also love to see that one. This changed a little bit, because I think last week they had Fremont at Whitehall, but now Fremont's not found on here in Division 4.
Right.
And, was it just the loss to Montague? Well, yeah, you could say that. And do they have a shot? Yeah, I mean, tall order this week, Fremont hosts Whitehall. So, we'll see if they can sneak their way into it too. But I think the matchup that at least I'd love to see down the road is like a Whitehall versus South Christian. They've been number 1, number 2, one way or the other all year. So, I mean, what would you guys anticipate with something like if that were to happen?
I mean, that seems to be the chatter on the street, right? South Christian, Whitehall in the regional final, according to Snooze. So that would be a good one. Just kind of looking through there, even like at Orchard Lake St. Mary at 2-5, like they're still scary, right? Mm-hmm. Chelsea, they're 4-3, still scary. So there's some teams in there that, based on just getting in and maybe some reputation, that can still make some noise in those divisions. And that's probably true for all the divisions. But a Whitehall South Christian matchup would be a doozy.
About Orchard Lake St. Mary, I was talking to a fellow media member Friday, and I think it was the guy I was talking to. We were talking about this, but we were discussing the Detroit Catholic School League with De La Salle lost to Brother Rice, which was kind of a stunner, and then Brother Rice turned around and lost to St. Mary's. And the question is there a conspiracy here? They're trying to get, excuse me, all these teams in. I'm gonna lay down this week. You get in. I'm not suggesting that's happening, so please don't come after me, and try to take us down here at CatchMark. But I don't know. It's just maybe I don't know if it's because those teams know each other so well or what. But you speak of Orchard Lake St. Mary's being 2-5 but still in the mix. I mean, they've been one of those teams that's been 5-4 or whatever, gotten in and won it all. So
yeah, you can't count them out.
So, any thoughts on what Whitehall could potentially do? Do you think? I mean, I got put on the spot a few weeks ago and asked to call my shot about Whitehall, and I called my shot. I thought they were getting to Ford Field. I'm not going to back off that. So, and I think if you get there, you got a good shot. But any thoughts on Whitehall and maybe their road?
Well, it's just something that when you're a homer or whatever, you're stuck in the West Michigan Conference and you look at a team like Whitehall facing off against your team, Montague and other teams in the conference, you're looking at them, wow, they're so great. I can't imagine anybody beating them. And then you go watch Grand Rapids Christian or Grand Rapids South Christian, and you're just like, wow, I didn't realize there's all this talent out here that you don't really see that often because you're stuck in the West Michigan Conference.
Right.
So
that's a great point, and I think that happens a lot. So, but yeah, so moving to Division 5. We've got Oak Ridge in Division 5, and right now they're projected Region 1, District 2, and a matchup I hadn't seen before is them against Shepherd. Shepherd's 5-2, Oak Ridge is 6-1, and then in that same district you'd have Belding and Tri-County, and Oak Ridge has had some experience and success playing Tri-County in the districts. I know at least the last couple years, I believe, including last year, they got them over at Tri-County. But if you look, that district overall is probably more favorable than maybe getting jammed, or that region, I should say. Gladwin is undefeated and having one of their best seasons ever, but I think I'd rather take my chances with them than have to play Grand Rapids Catholic Central right away. Now, that matchup wouldn't happen to the semifinals according to this.
Yeah, I think that's a very winnable district. I know they're excited about what's happening up in Tri-County. I would challenge that if you go through the ringer of the West Michigan Conference, that you're a little bit more battle tested than a league that maybe Tri-County plays in. Same can be said, I think, for the Flying G's of Gladwin. But that's definitely a winnable district and maybe even a region for Oak Ridge.
Are you familiar with them, by the way, Gladwin?
Gladwin? Yeah, so I graduated from Augrey Sims, which is on the east side of the state, about 25 minutes north of or south of Tawas. And so anything in that kind of middle of the state area is kind of my stomping ground.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, he brings up that point about Gladwin and their conference and that they're playing. And it just shows in the playoff points, only 49 playoff points at 7-0. And you compare that to Whitehall, who's got 62 playoff points at 7-0. So you can definitely tell the difference just looking at this paper from Snooze to You.
Yeah, so in that top half, in that region, in Oak Ridge region, it's Gladwin, Ogama Heights, Kingsford, and Kingsley. Now, all those programs have good traditions, especially like at Kingsford and the Kingsley.
Right.
Ogama Heights they've had their moments, of course, too, at different times. And then, if you go down to Region 2, it's Grand Rapids Catholic versus Lakewood, Berrien Springs versus Hopkins, and then Corunna, Olivet. Then moving down, Portland and Williamson. Now, Portland is just another one of those programs. It's just been so tough.
Always tough.
And as far as, going back quite a ways now. So, like you could easily project like a Grand Rapids Catholic Portland matchup maybe, and then maybe, who knows, maybe Oak Ridge gets to the semifinals. And they played Grand Rapids Catholic a little tougher last year. It was the score was kept down. I'm sure the snow probably helped a little bit with that, but still they played a lot tougher, learned some lessons maybe from playing them before. And if you're in a semifinal, that's a neutral site game, and they've had to play them at Grand Rapids Catholic. So maybe that helps a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, and don't sleep on Frankenmuth. They've recently become a football school, and they must have a really good group of kids coming through there. But they're solid. They have the highest number of total playoff points in that division, according to Snooze. So, they'll be tough. Can't count out Detroit Country Day, as always, and those Detroit area schools. But, I think that's a good draw for Oak Ridge as far as a district and maybe a region goes.
No, and I agree with you on Frankenmuth. That's a great point because they were there, and I don't know if it was last year or year before, they were in the finals, and they just have a great sports tradition, too, on top of really kind of coming on as a football program the last several years, and they've always been pretty solid. I'm going to give a little quick shout out. Jeff Kimberly of the MHSA, that's his alma mater, Frankenmuth. So they eat a lot of fried chicken over there.
Yeah, do you got the inside scoop on Bronner's then? Can you get you a discount?
Yeah, I don't care about Bronner's. No offense, Bronner's.
Not a Christmas guy.
I'm not. I'm the Grinch.
Oh.
The Grinch. I got a new nickname now, I guess.
Scott the Grinch.
I like to eat fried chicken, though.
Can't go wrong with fried chicken.
The DeCamp that stole Christmas.
Have you been over to
Bronner's?
To Bronner's?
Oh yeah, my dad, for some reason, he loves it over at Bronner's. He's a guy that
He's like Buddy.
Oh yeah, he's not. He just likes to decorate, and he just feels like it's his time when he walks into Bronner's to find what he wants and put it on top of the roof.
Attaboy.
That's just Jeffrey Allen.
Mm-hmm.
So has he kind of got a Clark W. Griswold quality there? Does he put up all the lights too?
No, he doesn't. He had like 4 pine trees going in the past couple of years. He put up all the lights, and he made me stand out in the 20-degree cold holding the pole with the lights on the end of it. So he does like decorating a little bit.
That's a good son right there, Tate. Good son.
Thank you so much.
That's awesome. That's great stuff. So, if this holds, not a bad maybe outlook for Oak Ridge. So, in Oak Ridge, obviously, Ravenna this week. And then, God, why am I losing track of who they've got in week 9?
Because you only have to know every schedule for every team in the area.
I should know. I'm supposed to know this off the top of my head. Who do they have? Anyway, I don't remember, so I got to take the L on this one. So, moving to Division 6, we have a couple teams from West Michigan Conference that are in this projection here. We'll start off with Manistee, Division 6, Region 1, District 2, that has them maybe making a trip to the UP, placing Gladstone.
Yeah, that's quite the drive. In fact, it's funny. My wife and I were talking last night because she's on her way up to her hometown. Her sister's going to have a baby today, hopefully. But she drives up to Marinesco, Michigan, which is about 10 hours from us. And we thought, gosh, wouldn't it be great if there was a ferry from Ludington to Escanaba? That would be wonderful. It's a beautiful drive right now, but it's still a 10-hour drive. But what a great thing for Manistee to be in the playoffs and try to start to establish some tradition. That's a haul to go to Gladstone, so that ferry would come in handy. But good for them for putting themselves in that spot. And they were, just real quick, thinking back to last year when we had the powerlifting team and we're kind of getting that thing going at North Muskegon, Manistee was always well represented at the powerlifting meets. And so I'm not surprised to see them having some success on the football field.
No, yeah, and it's a good representation for them as they make their way into the WMC conference. Just another new team in there, but they're showing off and showing up big in the playoffs, and it's a good thing for them as a new addition into the conference.
No, and Manistee's got Montague at home this week, so again, that's a tough game.
That'll be good.
That could be a pretty decent game. So I just got to figure out whether we want to send Tate up to Manistee or not this Friday or not.
Well, you're 19, right?
I'm breaking that news to him right now. So
that's all right.
I hadn't really brought that up.
Well, last I heard, there was a casino up there.
Oh, well, actually, maybe do send me out to Manistee.
He's already made one trip to Manistee, so he's well familiar with the lay of the land. But how can I be so stupid about the Montague Oak Ridge game in week 9? I just mentioned that's our game of the week, and I can't remember who Oak Ridge plays. I can't remember what I did 10 minutes ago. So, but that's who they play, guys. They play Oak Ridge in our game of the week. You'd think I'd remember that, but I didn't. Anyhow,
Even if I do know what you were talking about, I want to try to correct you.
You should. I need
Just
that.
smile and wave.
So Manistee this week, Montague, and then week 9, Fremont is who they have. So, again, those are 2 tough games and 2.
But 2 winnable, I think.
They are.
I think they believe that they can probably get those.
Yep. So they could solidify their spot right now. They're at 31.571 points and tied for the lowest in that district. But, things can change a lot. And, so we'll see what goes on with that. But the projection has them playing Gladstone, and then the other game of that district, Boyne City, hosting Elk Rapids. That region has Negaunee, Calumet, Houghton, and Menominee, all Uper teams. So yeah, they're in that northern district, or northern region, I should say. And then looking down in Region 2, in that same division, Reed City's coming off a big win over a previously unbeaten Kent City, like 52-0. I think that kind of anyone who was wondering about Kent City, not that this ends their season, but that kind of was probably a healthy reality check for them to face a good Reed City program and say, hey, we still have some things to work on.
Yeah, Reed City recently just been on the map as far as football goes, and got some big boys running that wing T kind of wedge offense up there that's tough to stop. Standish Sterling over by my hometown making some noise. I think they were in the state semis last year or something like that, but they're really excited about what they have on the field there too.
Yep, and then going over and this is where it's interesting, because on the other side is where Montague would be at in Region 3. So on the other side of that state playoff bracket in Division 6. Right now, it's got Montague playing at Kent City, which, again, very winnable game for Montague, I think. Beautiful facility, Kent City. I don't know if you guys have been there. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, they did a really good job there.
All turfed up and nice big scoreboard. It's really, they did a really good job. Great track. They had the track state finals there last year.
Yeah, we spend a lot of our time in Kent City because they host a lot of events, state tournament-wise.
And then the other side of that district would be West Catholic hosting Muskegon Catholic Central, which, from what I hear, I guess those teams are going to play again next year, regular season, but they also have a history with each other a little bit. And Muskegon Catholic's kind of quietly gone on and put together a pretty solid season. They obviously beat North Muskegon in week 1 in a game North Muskegon still is kicking itself a little bit, even though the Norths have gone on and done a great job of putting that in the past and moving ahead and winning, 6 in a row now. But Muskegon Catholic had a nice win over Schoolcraft a couple weeks ago. They just beat Heights. I think they get Centerville this week, and then they picked up a game with Tri-County week 9. So
good.
But any thoughts on this district at all in this region, Tate?
Well, with Montague, I feel like almost every single game right now is a must-win. I mean, coming up, you got Manistee. They still got Oak Ridge on the schedule, and there's a reason why that one's going to be the game of the week, because that's probably going to be a determiner for if Montague can sneak into the playoffs right there in that district, in that region. So I'm going to be watching very closely on every single Montague game. They're going to need to pull out probably every single win, pull out all the stops to make it in there.
For sure. And then you've got in that region, Region 3, District 2, Constantine, which has been there, done that. They're kind of projected to face Parchment right away, and then Buchanan and Watervliet. So all teams in like Southwest Michigan, kind of in that pod there. So, Montague. Obviously, I think if you look at these two matchups, West Catholic versus Muskegon Catholic, and then Kent City Montague. I think in those games I'd have to go with West Catholic and Montague, and then Montague would have its work cut out. Obviously, going to West Catholic and pulling that off. But if you were able to do that, you get into that regional, and who knows what could happen. But step by step, game by game. Yeah, one game at a time.
What's interesting to me is the point differential between Muskegon Catholic Central and Montague. It's really small.
Yeah.
So you do have to consider who they play these last 2 weeks, and you could win out, right? And still, those points might fluctuate enough where you get bumped in or you get bumped out. Right.
No, and Montague could still host.
Right.
They could lose 4 games, maybe even 5, potentially, and still host a playoff game in that district.
Yeah.
Potentially. It can happen. I mean, they can make up enough points to.
Yeah, Catholic finishes off with 2 bigger schools, and so what will that do points wise? That'll help them out tremendously, and so it'll be interesting to see how those 2 play out the next couple of weeks.
So also in Division 6, you've got Clinton, who Montague faced in the finals a couple years ago. That really good Montague team beat them in the Division 6 finals. But yeah, I mean, there's other schools. Obviously Bishop Foley's got a good tradition. Sometimes like when I'm going way back in my football watching days, some of these smaller like parochial schools over in the Detroit area, you don't always know what you're getting in terms of, they're probably going to be talented, but how are they? How sharp are they? I mean, how well do they execute things like that?
Right.
Which I think the West Michigan Conference, these teams are so prepared because not only are there a lot of great programs, but the reason is there's a lot of good coaches as well, and they're always well prepared. And it's hard to compete, in the West Michigan Conference, and that prepares you though for the rest of the season. So. Yeah,
I didn't even know Detroit Voyager College Prep was a school.
I know.
They just kind of pop up here and there.
Right. I know that, and that happens from time to time. Right. So, and then finally, Division 7, the projection that we have right here is, which just surprises no one, with North Muskegon and Ravenna in the same district, it would be Region 1, District 2 if it played out this way. As it stands, North Muskegon would be hosting Lake City, and then Ravenna would be making the trip to Ithaca. So, any early thoughts on what if those matchups did happen?
That Traverse City, St. Francis is really good.
Yep, they're in that same region. They're in the district, that same region. So that's a potential matchup for whoever gets out of that District 2.
I mean, but, I'm biased, but I'm saying D7 is tougher than D6 and maybe D5. But just putting it out there. And we talked about this before the airing that, with declining enrollments overall in the state of Michigan, those schools that were once, D4s and D5s are they're sliding down in enrollment wise. And so you see teams like Ithaca and Lawton and Jackson Lumen Christi, Traverse City, St. Francis, all used to be, D6 or D5 schools, and New Lothrop, who won it a few years back, and Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central. I remember when I was at Montague, we played them at a regional final in Marshall, and they were D6 back then. So it's interesting how that sliding up and down based on enrollment is impacting the lower divisions in terms of having some powerhouses, and I use the air quotes around those in that division.
Yeah, no, we talked about it a little bit before the podcast. Ithaca dropping down Division 7, and that's a team that probably in my time of coming up through K through 12, they've probably knocked Montague out 3 different times. So it's interesting seeing how all those teams have slid around because of enrollment numbers.
Yeah.
No, there's some absolute powerhouses in Division 7. It's been that way for a few years now. And I mean, just again, rattling off those names, St. Francis, North Muskegon's been a solid program, Ravenna, Ithaca, Lawton has really come on of late. I saw them take it to Muskegon Catholic last year. Lawton was a really good team. Could have won it. Yeah. Excuse me, in Division 7. Lost a tough game with Puamo in a game that they led late. Lawton did, and Puamo pulled it off. And
I didn't even say Puamo.
No, they're in it.
They're down, but they'll be dangerous.
Schoolcraft, Lumen Christi, again, Puamo, they're 4-3, but still you can never discount them. New Lothrop, again, they beat, I think, Lumen Christi in the opener this year. Lumen Christi started 0-3, but now they won 4 straight. So, again, I think that's a product of their schedule. I'd heard, I don't know if this is true, I think Mick McCabe, where I'm on the Detroit Lions high school coach of the week panel, and Mick McCabe's on that with us, and I think he mentioned that Lumen Christi's going, I thought it was him that mentioned that maybe they're going to the Catholic School League. Yeah, because the league that they're in now is kicking them out.
Right, and that league includes some teams in Ohio, right?
It may, right? I think it does now, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I read that.
But yeah, I mean, Lumen Christi, Montague lost to them, 4 years ago, I think now, 3 or 4 years ago in the finals. I think it was a tie game at half, and Lumen Christi comes running out there looking like a college team with all their depth, and it's just stud after stud.
Right.
But Montague played tough, but I think just ran out of gas in that one. So, but no, just a lot of powerhouses in this one. I mean, I haven't even gotten to Montrose, Hudson. Hudson's another one, kind of one of those historical schools. And then one that's really dropped in enrollment, Detroit Central. I want to say that's where Antonio Gates played, was Detroit Central back in the day. I think that's where he was at. But they were they were like a Class A school at that point.
It's crazy
how things change like that. So, and again, like you said, Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central, it's a little stunning to see them at 2-5, but they play a tough schedule as well. And it is telling that they're 2-5 and they're still would be hosting a first round game.
Right.
So, but I don't know. I mean, I know we can do this, maybe make this a weekly thing as we go, and it won't be finalized until after week 9, and they have the playoff selection show. But who are you guys really feeling? Who are you really liking? Who's our best chance in the West Michigan Conference to maybe make a push?
I mean, I think obviously you got to start with Whitehall, 7-0, 62-63 playoff points, and I mean, if you take a look at the matchups that they got coming up, I mean, I think they got a great chance in that little pod there in District 1. Big Rapids, Fruitport, Ludington. I think they'll be able to handle anyone there. And it's just when they get to Grand Rapids, South Christian is when that's going to be a battle of titans. And I think that's a team that has been very good in the past, and I think they're probably very solid this year. So Whitehall's going to have to be great on both sides of the ball to pull out with that one.
Yeah, I would agree. It's hard to not bet on them right now. I can see Oak Ridge making a little bit of a push, making some noise in the playoffs. I'll be biased, obviously. I think we can maybe make a little run.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what makes it so fun. You never know.
How do you feel about North Muskegon making it out of their district and matching up with Traverse City St. Francis?
Yeah, that would be. So I haven't seen them on film yet. I just kind of keep hearing the buzz, and you see the playoff point totals. Yeah, I mean, let's play them. Bring it on. Since we're not doing the Catholic League playoffs or the multiplier, let's play them.
I've heard, and I don't have, this is not by any means firsthand knowledge. I was talking to another coach, or some coaches, and they said that they saw St. Francis this summer in like a passing game, or maybe Reese Puffer did, I think. So it was like second or third hand type stuff. But like you can see Traverse City Central's a little bit down from where they were, and then Traverse City West is really down. But the talk is that's because a lot of their good dudes are going over to St. Francis, which that's really nothing new. They've been getting a lot of great players like that from those other Traverse City schools and surrounding areas for a long time. But they said they got some receivers that are like 6'2", 190, 200, just all kinds of kids running around that are about 6'2", 190, 200 pounds. Just like they almost like they have a factory of those types of kids.
Must be nice.
Well, how big is TJ?
Okay, I'll give it to him. He's 6'2". He's probably 6'1", 170, dripping wet. So.
Yeah.
He said, I'll give it to him. And then he goes, nah.
Never mind.
That's such a dad move.
Right?
Keeping him humble.
Humble and hungry.
That's right. So we've talked a lot of football, which, that's what this conference loves. So we're going to give that to them, and we love talking about it too. But I think we need to kind of maybe hit on some of the other sports in the league, and there's some different ones to cover here real quick before we close this out. But girls golf state finals are this weekend. We have Ludington is going as a team. They were runner-up in their regional last week at Catke up at Ferris. They darn near won the regional, lost by a stroke to Spring Lake. Emma McKinley was the medalist for that. She was 4 over 76. We just featured her in the Profile of the Week. Real nice kid. Really competitive. Also a good athlete in tennis and basketball. So she's kind of leading them to the state finals, but she's been there the last 2 years on her own, and now her team's going with her. So that's pretty cool. And then also Division III, you got Whitehall making it too. So that's interesting. And then one of the points I wanted to talk about though was Montague. They were going for a third straight Division IV state title, and I think it's just kind of a shame a little bit that they're not going to get the opportunity now. They had a chance to qualify just like everyone else at regional, but the regional was absolutely loaded. I think there was 6 of the top 10 teams from that division in that regional, and only 3 teams can advance. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't know. I know we talk about seeding and everything for other sports, and they have started doing that, at least at the district level. Do you think maybe something needs to be done even in a sport like golf where you're distributing or something happens where maybe it's the top X schools no matter what region you're competing in. I don't know. They're playing different courses and stuff too. That's what makes it so difficult.
Yeah, I mean, if there's an algorithm out there that can help, kind of straighten that out where 6 of the top 10 teams aren't in the same region, then why not give it a shot? It can't hurt.
I mean, yeah, and I'm looking at the leaderboard right now. You got Montague finished in 4th with a 385, and then you got Granville Calvin Christian, and then you got Kalamazoo Hackett Catholic Prep, and then you got Kalamazoo Christian. And Kalamazoo Christian shot a 337 overall, which is what? 48 strokes better than Montague.
That's insane, yeah.
That's insane. 48 strokes. But
if you want to talk about the public-private thing again, which I know you don't mind doing that, Ken, if you look at the teams behind them, so they were sandwiched by parochials. So they had so behind them was North Point Christian 5th, West Catholic 6th.
Mm-hmm. And then North Muskegon right behind.
Yep, North Muskegon was right there in 7th. So, yeah.
But yeah, just wow.
It reminds me of my conversation with Cody Liverance, who is North Muskegon's varsity tennis coach, both boys and girls. And, they're always competitive, and they go down to the state tournament, and he comes back and says, we were the public school champions because they lost to, so-and-so Saint something. And,
Saint Catholic Christian.
Right. So, maybe there's something to be said about separate playoffs.
Yeah, so individually, Montague's got a couple girls that advanced. Junior Mackenzie Goudreau made it. She was 3rd in the region. And then Natalie Kellogg, senior for them, she survived a 3-person playoff for 2 spots. And I think one of the best moments of the day I covered that was getting video of her and her dad with a nice hug afterwards, and even Coach Kerr and then the teammates and stuff just showing her some love after she got through it. But I thought that was really cool. Just
That's cool.
Kind of the love they showed her for that. So
and I want to just give a quick shout out. There's a lot of people involved, but shout out to Coach Phil Kerwin. The program has really picked up for Montague girls golf and boys golf too, but Montague girls golf especially, just the level of play that they're at now. And it kind of started around 2017, 2018 when it really started to pick up, but now it's at a level I never thought it would get to. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to him.
No, he's done a phenomenal job. And it always, someone who comes in with that vision, he had the vision, and then, carrying it through and executing it.
So when you cover golf, are you on a cart or do you walk the whole thing?
Cart, usually? I know.
I'm all about working smarter, not harder.
Right now, so that kind of leads me into a little segue here. Covering football games, high school football games. I used to be a guy who'd want to be in the press box. I don't remember the last time I've been in a football press box, and that's by choice, just because I want to be right down on the sideline. And part of it's because I want to get photos and videos, but I love being right down near the action. And I know a former colleague of mine, Graham Couch, who's at the Lansing State Journal, is a columnist for them. We work together at the Kalamazoo Gazette. He always used to get on me and try to make me feel guilty. Why are you up in the press box? You need to be down on the field. Although I never see him at Michigan State games covering them. I don't remember him being on the sideline for those. So he's usually up getting the free food and all that stuff in the press box. So
that's how I would do it if I was covering high school football. I would be on the sideline until it rained. And then I'm out.
Right. Yes. No, and you've probably seen me. And I need to start working smarter, not harder. But holding my phone with one hand and the camera with another, there is a contraption you can put a mount on your camera, which I need to actually start doing, where you can do both at the same time. Yeah. But my point I'm getting at, because I've done that and also had an umbrella tucked in my coat over the top of me while I'm holding 2 different cameras.
You need one of those little hat umbrellas.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. CatchMark needs
with
to hook you up.
With the CatchMark logo on it.
That's right. So, switching gears, let's switch to tennis real quick. I'm trying to get my notes back here, so bear with me here. But we've got Ludington Tennis made it through. They finished 2nd in the regional. The regional they hosted, so they were going to be playing in the state finals in the Lansing area this week. I think Mason, Hazlitt, and I know Okemos or somebody like that. So they'll be competing there this week. So good job by them. I believe they're our conference's lone representation. Whitehall just missed making the cut for the tennis state finals. And then on that topic of Ludington, they're having a pretty strong fall. Boys soccer team just finished unbeaten in the conference, 10-0. They finished it off with a 3-0 win over Shelby. So, and they're 18-1-1. They won 12 straight matches. I had this in the story last week, but it was an insane goal differential. It was like 94-10 or something like that is their scoring margin this year.
No, yeah, and it's their third conference title. When I'm talking about 3 different conferences, they've won 3 different conferences already. 18-1-1 this season.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
That's pretty impressive. They've got a lot to cheer for up in Oriole country right now.
They have, yeah.
They
I mean, football's solid. They took one on the chin against Whitehall Friday, but they're 5-2 now. So, so they're having a good fall as well. So, and then Ludington's always has been competitive, and once we get to fall or the winter with basketball, they got a great program, and the girls also are coming off great success from girls basketball. They were in the semifinals for Division II last year. They lost to Detroit Edison, another one of those powerhouse schools.
Yeah, good addition to the league overall.
Yeah, it is.
So on that topic of soccer too, we've got boys districts kicking off this week. So you've got, I know one of the interesting matchups is Montague at Whitehall this Wednesday. That's a Division III first round match. So I'd say about a month ago, Whitehall won over at Montague 4-1. So, it'll be interesting to see if we got any teams that can maybe make a push. But I think Ludington, obviously. But beyond that, I'm not sure. Shelby's was on a great run until they lost to Ludington. And at North Muskegon, I think they're solid and I think they're dangerous. I'm just not sure. Are they a team that can make a run or not?
Based on what I'm seeing and hearing, they're pretty competitive, a little inconsistent. Record-wise, they're doing okay. And really, it's, at what point do they run across West Michigan Christian? So if they're in the district, who knows? But, I know most of those kids, and they like to compete, and so we'll see how that goes. I do wonder about soccer in general. They have 4 divisions, right?
Yep.
So I wonder about the whole, like we talked about in past podcast, if like baseball shouldn't go to 6 and soccer shouldn't go to 6, and because just that enrollment, you to say Whitehall Montague matchup, that enrollment still there's a lot of disparity there, and so is there more equity in having 6 divisions in soccer too? So just a thought. No,
and we kind of the catch up thing that we recorded with the weekly highlights. We did give a shout out to Brian Mahan, but we'll give him one here too with. He had his last home match, regular season match, that is, last week. The Whitehall coach, and he's been with Whitehall for 29 years, kind of help get those programs up off the ground. And so congrats on a phenomenal career to him, and best wishes in the tournament as you go forward. But anything else that you guys want to address before time runs out on us here?
Brian Mahan, Hope College graduate, too, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
He jams with Huizinga too, doesn't he?
Yeah, they're pretty incredible musicians.
Were you aware of that, Tate?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, they've got a nice little group that plays. So
nice.
You have to catch them.
What are they called again?
They were the Educators at one point. I don't know what they're called now.
They're not called like the Killers or something like that now,
no,
are they?
I don't think so.
The Cold Stone Killers.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us. Thanks again to our sponsors, Grieve Law, Big Stone Therapies, Greenridge Realty with Chris Dykman and Sarah Reel, North Grove Brewers, Foundation Systems of Michigan and John Botten, Coldwell Banker with the ripped Dave Dusenberry, Scheid Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, and, of course, our title sponsors, Van Dyke Mortgage, Lakeshore, and Durga Insurance Group. This was episode 8 of season 2 of the CSN podcast. Thanks for watching, everybody, and hope you have a great week.